So somebody asked how much of chapter 5 is done. Vince responded with 100%. But wait, what if I told you that was a sarcastic answer? It is not 100% done. Matter of fact, we don't know how much it is done, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, we're starting depressed. This video, we are starting with the depressed news. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy SmackNPie. Welcome to part 2 of 3 of our Q&A recap. Whatever's left, we're going to talk about it in the final video. So, we're going to start off with chapter 4. Now, you're wondering, Smack, what are you talking about? Why are we starting with chapter 4? Hear me out. If you've seen my previous videos, you would know that not just chapter 5, but also chapter 4 is getting an update. An update that will add new cutscenes and new story thingy in chapter 4. We got more clarification on that. So if you're still like head scratching and whatnot, I got you. It was revealed that, for example, in Mascot Mayhem, ladies and gentlemen, new cutscenes will be added. You want to be wondering, Smack, what cutscenes? Okay, like why didn't Doug Hauser just use his speed boost to move past Joy Kill in the final escape? Or, you know, he could have used the teleportation. He could have used anything to get past Joy Kill. Why didn't he? We're gonna learn in those new cutscenes. There will be a new cutscene for the intro of Joy Gang. Yeah, remember when we first meet Joy Gang? We meet them and they greet us. Yes, there will be new addition to that. So we'll get to see new cutscene for the intro of Joy Gang when we enter Mascot Mayhem. And finally, we're also going to learn, and that happens after we escaped, or well, Malak sent us to the ballroom, ring piece. What happened with the ring piece? That is something that we're gonna learn too. So new cutscenes will be added in chapter 4 to smooth out the story. And the reason it is happening for 2 reasons. Number 1, Jojo Gang is returning, all the other monsters are returning, but also in chapter 5 these questions will be answered, so there are certain things that needs to be added in chapter 4 cutscenes, so that when we do get to chapter 5 cutscenes and chapter 5 story, those plot points that just got added will, you know, help us understand chapter 5 plot. Chapter 5 plot will be easier to understand with those plot points in chapter 4, so I hope that helps you in understanding, and I'm excited for those new cutscenes. With chapter 4 out of the way, there's a lot of things that we need to look out for in chapter 4, but now let's talk a little bit about chapter 5. So I've cut this into a few parts, starting with Malak. So we made a whole separate video about Malak, how his level is gonna be insane, right? But we've also learned that the level is gonna be so big, ladies and gentlemen, that Vince described Malak's level to be at least 1/3 of the game. Let that sink in, bro. There are 5 levels in chapter 5, alright? And if you're telling me that one of those levels is so big that it covers 1/3 of the game, that tells you how big that is. But that also tells me that Malak's level is like the last level, either the last level, or just before the secret level, or the last level, period. We don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. And also, a new name was just revealed, Cutthroat Corporation. So do whatever you want with that information. I think that when we're fighting life and death against Malak in chapter 5, I think names won't matter that much. Okay, then let's talk a little bit about Doug Hauser. I've told you before many times, when you do get a kind of sort of near to chapter 5 release, I will be making videos on all characters like Agatha and all that other stuff. But we got some information on new characters, we're gonna talk about it. But I've said in my previous video that Darkstar is the only one to have motion capture in her level. It was also confirmed that Doug Hauser will also have some motion captures as well. If you remember, there were 2 characters, you know, wearing the motion capture suit. One was Darkstar, the other one was assumed to be Malak, but now it is confirmed. Well, kinda sorta, not really. It might be Doug Hauser, because Doug Hauser is confirmed to have a motion capture. Some animations at the very least will have. But there will be some cutscenes, just like chapter 4 when we saw Doug Beers versus Malak. We saw some glimpse of Doug Hauser because the camera was from outside perspective, so it tells me there will be more. There will be more cutscenes that revolves around other character perspective. That's why we'll get to see Doug. And not just that, ladies and gentlemen, we will finally get to hear Doug talk. Now you're wondering, Smack, what are you blabbing about? What are you yapping about? We heard him talk. We hear how he, you know, speaks. We literally saw him treating his wife and daughter like a bull. I'm not talking about that. Flashbacks are one thing. We will hear him talk in the thingy, in the Malak's realm, Beer's ballroom kind of thing. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Speaking of Doug Hauser, Demi Hauser. Tammy Hauser. Like I said, there will be a whole separate video on her, but as always, just like predicted, Tammy Hauser will play the biggest role. Like, she has the biggest role. She is the main pivot, main point, main plot of chapter 5. Makes sense. Doug Hauser is here because of her, kinda sorta for her, so she has a big role to play in chapter 5. We been you the blue ball, the red Tammy Hauser, which again Mr. told me that, hey, he came up with a good theory. He was like, not a theory, but it's more of a perspective that I always said. In this realm of dark deception, souls gets, split into two, good and evil. Well, okay, let me elaborate, alright? When I say split into two, I don't necessarily mean split into two, I mean like two souls, or at least two sides of your soul present, being, existing in the freaking realm. There is one Doug Hauser, right? But Malak can use and manipulate certain aspects of Doug Hauser to have an evil Doug Hauser exist, which he is. In chapter 5, we know there is a whole evil Doug Hauser. Just like that, Malak can use and manipulate Blue Ball and Tammy Hauser and manifest, that's the word I was looking for, manifest a Tammy Hauser, a version of Tammy Hauser full of hatred and whatnot. So when I say souls getting split into, good and evil, I don't necessarily mean that. I mean, there are like souls out there, the original OG souls, and then there are manifestations of those souls. Some souls, good souls, bad souls, evil souls, full of hatred, you get the point. Okay, this video is getting a lot longer. Okay, another thing that was revealed, because a lot of people were asking, just like Lucky the Rabbit having speed boost in chapter 4, will these monsters have powers just like Doug Hauser's? Teleportation and the other stuff. It was revealed that no, these monsters will not have. I just farted and it stinks, bro. It stinks, bro. Literally, the fart is staying in my own vicinity. I'm smelling my own fart. Gosh darn it, it is so stinky, bro. What did I... But yeah, these monsters will have unique powers of their own, powers that are not resemblance to the Doug Hauser's powers. And speaking of powers, by the way, let me try to explain powers in chapter 5, right? The thing is, monsters like Malak and Beers, they have their own separate set of powers, right? And then there are monsters like Agatha. Okay, Agatha is not a good example because she has her own set of powers. But then there are monsters like, Georgia Gang, Mama Bear, nurses, monkeys, and all that other stuff, right? They got their powers sub-power, right? So you have the main category of Malak, Beers, and, these big boys, right? Big guys. Doug doesn't fall into that. Doug falls into same category as, let's say, Agatha or nurses or Georgia Gang. They have powers, Doug have powers because of Beers. Beers has powers even without those thingies, right? She gets more powerful because of the ring pieces, but she has her own set of powers. Doug don't have that. And this is what we're going to continue in the next part because this video is already becoming too long. Ladies and gentlemen, it is getting litty as a bichi. There are some Monsters and Mortals news that we're going to tackle in the next video, and there's some juicy stuff that I got for y'all. We are very far away from chapter 5, and you'll learn why in the next video. So for more, I'll see you in the next one.